The Talk and Shop Network makes no apologies for what you're about to hear. The host might, though. It's the $9 Podcast with Drewski. Because moderating for pro wrestling's good brothers wasn't enough work. Talking wrestling and more. Weekly on all major podcast networks.
And after a little bit of a long delay, the $9 Podcast is back. It's Drewski. How you doing? Apologies right off the bat for not being on top of it. It's being like weekly, but sometimes real life interferes, and I've been under the weather for the past 4 days or so. Basically been out of it on my feet for the past 3, and I'm just now recovering. I've got enough energy to actually get back into doing this stuff, and it's needed because some weeks. Life's a series of ups and downs, and it's like, for me, it was one of those down weeks. For stuff, stuff that happened, like when real life interferes. It's like, it's just somebody giving you a wake up call, going, "Hey, slow down a bit, right? Focus on what's real, and." Keep, your health is more important than anything, anything like work related or whatever, and any stress or whatever. And it's like, you keep your, keep your health, your health is your priority, right? Especially when you're my age and you're getting old, getting older. It's like everything seems to get a little bit magnified in terms of getting sick. It's like you start, your mind starts wondering, could this be it? And that's not a mindset you want to be in. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Let's sort of make good for make good to everybody for not exactly being on time with stuff. There has been an interesting development in terms of the $9 Podcast, and it is that I am sponsored now. It's a scary thought. I actual sponsored people are letting me do or are interested in working with me. There's a website called Old Glory, oldglory.com, which is basically they sell merch for licensed merch from like you name it, they have it, and I have a deal worked out with them where it's like you use promo code Drewski at their checkout, and it's like basically you get 15% off 15% off your entire order. And full disclosure, I get a little commission off of that, and help keep the lights on, which is good. Hey, it's progress. Thanks for checking it out in advance. It's like, I don't want to be like a full-on shill, but hey, I got to pay the bills, and I'm following the recent news about all the turnover in TNA, and I keep thinking, when have I seen this before? Oh, I've seen this. My God, it seems like every 2 years or so. It's sort of like a Ragnarok cycle, and where it's like direction of the company's up in the air, talent's leaving, rumors of the imminent demise. It's been said that TNA will outlast cockroaches, and after a war, they've outlasted a lot of sorry, they've outlasted a lot of more successful promotions, despite sometimes despite themselves. It's like it could be a stubborn streak, but with Tommy Dreamer supposedly, sorry, with Tommy Dreamer leaving, and all signs looking like they're being prepped for a sale, which doesn't mean shit, because it's not the first time I've heard something like this, right? It's like, I'll believe it when when there's actual new ownership. Anything, speculation's already flying around about who's up for it. If they decide to go that way, and it's like your talent are leaving, and they've lost like 20% of their roster, and they've gotten rid of a lot of the people that are doing like behind the scenes stuff, some of the production stuff. So they're streamlining. Apparently, the press release that they sent out saying that they were streamlining things. It would be one thing to say streamlining things if you had like multiple things going on, but when you tape like 2-3 days a month and a pay-per-view, it's already not streamlined as it is, right? It just, you have to wonder, like, for a lot of the long time talent that have been there for years, like Eric Young and Rosemary. It's like, they've seen it all, and they're still there. But there comes a point where it's like, there's a breaking point, right? It's like the whole, how much of the stop start are you going to endure before you decide, hey, you know what? I'm just not worth the hassle. They're saying that any sort of improvements that the product will be noticeable after Slammiversary coming up. But a lot can happen between now and then. The rumors are going around that Road Dogg is being brought in to help creative, again, rumors, right? Because Delirious is still there, and everybody that knows remembers Delirious. Delirious is booking in Ring of Honor before this. It's like that's not necessarily a good thing, right? And it should be. Do they? And they have like certain people like Mike Santana. His contract's up, and they might be asking people to take pay cuts. It's a very it's a very awkward time, but it's which seems to be standard operating procedure for TNA, or it's very very awkward. They've had, I remember seeing this situation like a couple times, like even when when Ali was there before going to TNA. You know, where it was like you're not sure, and I'm sure it'll somehow they will prosper. You know, there's supposedly like a Dark Side of the Ring coming out focused on TNA, and the timing of that combined with this, it you know, can't be coincidental. You know, it would be something if it was, if Jeff Jarrett pulled the rabbit out of the hat and like did a backdoor deal and reclaimed his company. But you might think that would be an impossibility, but no, this is pro wrestling. Stranger things keep continuing to happen, right? And I'm sure, the talent, how will they acquire new talent? You know, it's good Brian Myers is still there, because Brian Myers is a good hand to have, and plus his connections with Creative Pro, and can help like filter in talent if they want to, right? But you have to wonder what the signals in the future for their TV deal. We're gonna have to find like yet another network, or do they? Because there's already been some wishful thinking on certain sections, certain parts of the net that we said Tony Khan would buy TNA and put the library on the My AEW app, and just to have, and which would I'm sure it sounds great on paper, but I don't know how that would come across. I mean, as it is, it's like they keep adding. They're starting to build like a library of like independent promotions coming in and letting them are going to be offered. It was like recently it was like C4. C4 is a very, very good promotion based out of Canada. Very good promotion. Been around for years. Very very hard hitting promotion actually, and apparently they're adding CMLL pay-per-views, which is huge, a huge thing for viewers, because it's starting with Fantastica Mania tonight, as I'm taping this, and again, which means Rocky Romero is working his magic, doing working deals. It's great that it's becoming like it's becoming what Triller and High Spots Network. High Spots Network still, all these different promotions running stuff. It's good. It's good. It's a good thing, and I have a feeling there's going to be more coming. There might be a couple Japanese ones coming. I don't, it's like I don't have inside information on that stuff, but it would, the selfish part of me would hope it would be Choco Pro or Baka Gaijin, but Tokyo Joshi Pro, has like, some of them. Tokyo Joshi Pro has Wrestle Universe, and between Wrestle Universe and My AEW, that's a lot of companies covered, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing if you're tired of if you're tired of what's going on in the big two, the big two in the West, and you want something different, so, or you want to see catch up on people who are the could be the future of the business. It's good. My AEW's looks like it's turning into a very veritable bargain for it. I'm sure we'll see what happens, going forward. See how many other promotions get involved. It's like, is there a chance there might be a glut, or do they how many promotions will be too many promotions for the site? Hard to say. It's like for Dynamite. I was entertained the hell out of me. That whole 12-man tag. It's like, especially the dynamic between MJF and Don Callis family members who could not stand him. It was high comedy, right? And it rewarded you, it rewarded you paying attention to the storyline stuff. And also laid hints for further on down the line, because if you noticed a little during when MJF was when Don Callis was introducing the team, it's like Trent Beretta was all acting like he was going to be the last guy picked, and then he did not get picked, and he did not get picked, and he did not look like he took it well. So that's something to keep an eye on that, or keep an eye on Trent. Okay. There's more than one fracture in that Don Callis family starting right now. Sorry. And I'm loving like the dynamic already between Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher. I was like, sort of like sorry, sort of like it's sort of like a one-upsmanship rivalry type of thing. It's like the one thing that seems sorry, it seems that half the family seems to be, it's like they can't stand MJF, and it's fucking, and MJF is oblivious to it, which makes things even funnier. And one thing that kind of disappointed me is when they introduced the team for Mark Briscoe's team. It's like, considering some of the people that were in it, where's Uncle Speedy? If anyone who had an axe to grind, would be Uncle. Speedball should have been part of that. I have no problem with Darby though. No problem with Darby, but I'm just wondering if Speedball would have been better in that situation. Who knows? He might end up in the cage coming up for Forbidden Door. It's great to see TMDK show up with Zacky Boy, Zack Sabre Jr. Zach's a great talent, and busy as hell. You and he's a hell of a professional. I mean, he was just he just did like Corkin like last week, teaming with Chris Brooks. Sorry, and you can see there's like a mutual respect there between Kenny and Zach. And sorry, and it intrigues me how it goes when their match goes, because it seems like there's gonna be no interference, it's gonna be mano a mano. So I would guarantee Zach will tie Kenny into a knot, and Kenny will V-trigger the hell out of Zach. And One Wing Angel, and then we move forward. Yeah, the whole discourse about how Forbidden Doors, like we're the lack of New Japan at Forbidden Door. That's because they're building it. They're the real buildup for like the Forbidden Door thing. It's basically Stardom versus AEW with Tekla. They had the built-in story from her getting fired from Stardom, and then having Starlight Kid come over, which is great. Starlight Kid's amazing. If you've never seen Starlight Kid, she is amazing. She is a talent, and only like 23. 23. Yeah, it's the typical. You could joke and say it's a typical Joshi, who's like, okay, 23, but she's been a pro for like 15 years, that kind of thing. So probably had more matches than anybody in AEW by a long shot, and it'll be interesting to see how US crowds are going to fall in love with Starlight Kid, because she's that good, and Tekla's always excellent, and Tekla's doing great work throughout. I love that TK gave her the ball to run with, and then she's killing it every time, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then you see Cope and Cage coming out being all avenging angels types against the dogs. Interesting to see what comes out of that. And I'm pretty much entertained throughout. That's the one great thing about Dynamite. It's like just constantly entertained, and it's storylines going forward. As we start the run towards All In, Forbidden Door, we still have Redemption coming up. Don't forget. They're already dropping hints about Redemption's probably going to be MJF and Kenny. The way it's being set up, and I have no problem with that, because Kenny needs a win. It's like MJF said in the promo, it's like he's 2-0 against Kenny, and Kenny needs a win back. Get a win back, and I can totally see that happening. It depends on how good Kenny feels after Zach's match, if they actually go with it, though, because Kenny's health is a priority, as always, right? It's like, and he's the best one to gauge how well he can go, which is kind of scary, because sometimes Kenny tends to overcompensate a bit by trying to work through the pain, and to his detriment. There's been a couple occasions like that in his past, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of that to come. You got Swerve and Osprey having an awesome back and forth. They have to, of course, Swerve would be offended that that people are always would be taking, saying Osprey's a lock for Wembley. Of course he would, right? Yeah. I love that they are slowly bringing up Hangman's name again. Yeah, there's a reason why, because Hangman's going to show up soon, because he's been off, I think, for a couple months. And it's about that time, getting close to once we get closer to Wembley, I think all plans will be all the cards will be on the table, so to speak, and it'll be very interesting to see. And I'm just happy for the direction they're going right now. It's like, yeah. And I'm also happy for Danhausen. Not for I'm happy for that guy because he's worked his ass off. Working that character for years on the indies, right? And he hasn't really changed what he's done. He hasn't really changed that much of his presentation at all from the indies, more or less. He is an attraction. He's an attraction, and a perfect storm of circumstances, involving his gimmick of cursing people and the subsequent the actual runs of the Knicks and the Carolina Hurricanes, over the past month. All coinciding at the same time, all coinciding. And next thing you know, he's all over ESPN, and raising his profile without actually being in the ring, wrestling. Because he is a mascot. He is a spokesman. If you think he's over now, just wait till October. Longtime fans of Danhausen know that October is the month where his cursing powers are apparently are thematically the strongest. He's at his most evil. And we got Halloween. It'll probably have like Halloween. He'll probably be hosting Halloween Havoc for WWE, or like some Halloween special or whatever. And good for him. It's like I've interacted with him on Twitter over the years, and he's very sharp mind, very quick-witted brother. Loves the comics, loves the Simpsons, loves the hardcore music, big because Danhausen, the whole Danhausen thing basically evolved from him wearing like he years back in the Indies he did a match where he did his face like the cover of the Jane Doe album by Converge, and it unnerved the fuck out of people, and that he noticed that reaction. He's all, why do I try this? Why do I try that? That's when Danhausen. That's what Danhausen involved in from, and I hope he gets. You hear that WWE is actually trademarking the term "human monies." You would think, they're trying to get a hold, trying to corner all the Danhausen trademarks as quickly as possible, even though they can't because he owns he owns his name, he owns his likeness. So basically, all his shirts are it's licensed. So he's making bank, and he's got more merch than anybody. He's still a top 10 seller, no matter what. People like the character, and it pisses off the work rate fans. But he's perfect for WWE because they do characters, and his type of character hasn't been seen in since in the 80s or 90s, and it's considered fresh, whereas back then it was like, okay, how many more versions of Doink do we have? And and I'm sure I'm sure people people are already, there's some people that are already complaining that he's being oversaturated with but too much Danhausen. They're getting shoved. It's like Danhausen every week getting shoved down our throats. There's some merit to it because it's sort of like the WWE tradition. It's like they will find if something works, they will. It's basically pound it, like pound it for months. Just overdo it. It's like the Marvel Comics was like that. It's like that. It's like when Deadpool started. The Deadpool comics started getting really good reviews and stuff, or not good reviews. It was well, the Deadpool movie came out. Next thing you know, there's like 20 different Deadpool titles. And it's like you swap the market, and it's like I don't need to read all these. It's like, well, no, why you gotta have Deadpool in every book? No. It's also a byproduct of it. Why do you have to have Wolverine in every book? Well, because Wolverine rules. Simple. In terms of I should update about sorry about the boys. The boys made a valiant effort at the Neo Global Tag League final a couple days ago at storied Corkin Hall, where they've had many great encounters. It's like there's something about Corkin Hall that brings out the best in the boys. Always has been ever since New Japan. And the guys that put over, fun. They're the guys that they that ended up winning. Missing. Sorry, Sorry, they're an interesting team. Let's put it mildly. It's like the very you could see they have something going over there. It's like just watching throughout the tournament about just keeping abreast of Noah. It's like one thing that's interesting about Noah is their junior heavyweights or their junior heavyweight division, something to really keep your eye on, because sorry, they have some talent. They have a lot of talent in that junior heavyweight division. But they also have a lot of age on that roster, and there's going to be a turnover eventually, and which will be interesting to see, because some of their junior heavyweights can really go. There's some talent from Dragon Gate and DDT, and it's real good to see. What some of the action I saw in the undercard for these tag leagues. It's like real Fast and Furious type stuff. Really inspiring. And excuse me, and now the boys are on the way home, where Gallows immediately gets back on the horse, goes on the solo run now that he's work rate Gallows, and apparently now there's going to be demand for him to do Styles Clash everywhere in the South, and so he's got a busy schedule coming up immediately when he gets back. And it's like, and Machine Gun is apparently going to be taking a couple days off, which means casino vacation with Teeny. Which is its own adventure. I say that in jest, loving jest, because his wife Teeny, great wife, great mom, great degenerate gambler. The type of gambler where it's like where Indie Take Nick Jackson would be just going, well, hey, wait. Yeah, that seems a little too much. No. So, already joking. There's already been jokes about all the merch money the boys made in Japan is going right to the high roller tables at the Hard Rock Seminole Casino. As soon as his plane lands, and it also means that there's going to be a whatnot appearance from either Gallows or Anderson or both coming in the near future, where they're selling off a lot of stuff, which are always fun, always chaotic, and it's good to see that the boys are had like a hell of a time over there. And now will they go back? It's interesting if they go back or not. I haven't really heard. I know that the Australia trip when they go back for WSW in a couple of months, like October, November. And they keep adding people to it. They just added Brian Cage to it. So that's going to be it's building up to be a massive tour. And that should be very interesting. Sorry. That should be very interesting. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this before I, while I still have a voice. It's like you can hear this, show worldwide on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio. You can see, I've already hit you up with like the new sponsor mart, but I also have the merch, so it's the merch show incoming. It's like the $9podcast.stasher.com. Got shirts, all that stuff, all that fun stuff. If you want to catch this channel from the beginning, YouTube, if you want to hear this stuff, these episodes like ad free, it's at youtube.com/the $9podcast. And you email the old man at the $9podcast@yahoo.com. And with that, I'll go ahead and just say see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the $9 Podcast. Support the show by going to the $9 Podcast or going to patreon.com/talkinshop to dive headlong into the insanity. See you next week.